morning, everyone, and happy Friday. Welcome to Adobe Live. My name is Terry White, worldwide photography evangelist here at Adobe Inc. And it's my pleasure to be streaming to you once again on Masterclass Friday. That's right, this is the day that the Adobe evangelists, including myself, dedicate to our favorite subjects that we're passionate about, and we get to spend an hour with you each. And we talk about things that we love, like photography in my case. So it's just a full day from myself, Paul Tranny, Jason Levine, Kyle Webster, and Howard Pinsky, all doing our various disciplines, including video, UX UI design, graphic design, Photoshop, photography, and audio and video. So with that said, I'm happy to kick off my hour with something that's an important topic, and that is, of course, how to not only present your photography work, but also how to tell your story. Because photography is great in that pictures can often tell a story, but a lot of times you need a little bit more than just the pictures themselves to explain what's going on in that particular story. So we're going to do a little bit of both. We're going to take a look at two different methods to tell your story. You can use them both. You can use one or the other. You can integrate them into each other. There's a couple different things we're going to do. So just a couple housekeeping things. For those of you who are watching, I see you on Facebook. I see you on Twitter. I see you over on Creative Cloud YouTube. I see you on my YouTube. I see you everywhere that you're watching, but I can't watch all the various chat panels because I just don't have one that's integrated everything. So we pay attention for the master classes to the Behance chat. So if you're not familiar with Behance, just head over to b.net/Adobe Live. If you don't already have an Adobe ID, which if you're using these products, you probably already do, just sign in with your Adobe ID. You can create one on the spot. You can also sign in with your social media accounts, so you can sign in various different ways, and no matter which way you sign in, it's free to sign in. That way I can see the chat, and I can see people like Larry Anderson and Sam Peterson and Rebecca Gold and General Kenobi and Sean, and I can see all the people that are there in the chat that I'm going to be focused on, which is right there. So if you got a question, hopefully I will see it. If I don't see it, then no insult. It just means I didn't see it. It's not that I'm trying to avoid you. Just ask it again if you feel like it's been enough time that I should have seen your question and I didn't really see it. All right. So I see Clifton saying hi, and friends from South Africa. Great. Happy to have you here, Clifton, all the way from South Africa. I love South Africa. I've been there a couple times. And it's you might even see some photos from it today. I can't remember if they're in here or not. But anyway, just love talking about photography, and love talking about, in this particular case, how to present your work, and a couple methods for you beyond the obvious, posting on Instagram and posting on Facebook. Beyond those obvious ones, we're going to talk about some creative ways to do it that really don't require a lot of, like, you don't have to be a web designer to do this. You don't have to be a video person to do this. You can create some compelling work without having to have those disciplines, as long as you have good photos and good organization from a standpoint of telling your story in the order you want to tell it in. All right, so again, last but not least, one more time, if you want to participate in the chat, you want me to see your questions, head over to b.net/Adobe Live. I'm going to go ahead and dive right in. So let's get rid of that banner, and let's go ahead and switch over to my desktop so we can talk about the two methods that we're going to discuss today within the next 50 minutes. Let me get there we go. Okay. All right. So and I should also give the caveat that the first method is, I normally mention, like, you could do this in Lightroom Classic, or you could do this in Lightroom, or you could do it in both, so forth and so on. This particular feature is only in Lightroom Classic. So if you're using Lightroom, meaning some people refer to it as the cloud version, if you're using that version does not have this feature. So you can just hang out and just wait for the next thing that you will be able to use, which I'm going to talk about a little bit later. But if you're a Lightroom Classic user, you will have this feature and you can use it. Just like last week, I think it was last week, I talked about the book module, and Lightroom doesn't have a book module, so Lightroom Classic does. So the next module over is the slideshow module, and that's what we're going to be talking about here in Lightroom Classic. Yeah, I'll just leave it at that. All right, so and then we're going to talk about something a little bit later that Lightroom users and Lightroom Classic users, and even if you're not using Lightroom, you'll be able to take advantage of. All right, so with that said, I've got a collection here called A World Traveler. It's just a simple collection I put together of some of my travel photos from around the world, all the various cool places I've been, including, let me see if I have it. There it is. There's South Africa. There's my South African sunset behind that tree, and there's a beautiful wild animal in the wild in Sabi, South Africa. So yeah, I got some South Africa shots in here as well. So Clifton, there you go. All right. So starts off with my Paris shots and goes over to Egypt and London and Denmark, Copenhagen, New York. So just various places I've had fun traveling to over the last 20 plus years, going around the world and just loving travel. Now, your story does not obviously have to be about travel. It could be about people. It could be about street photography. It could be about landscapes. It could be about whatever it is you want to talk about, but I just put a collection together that would be interesting for us to look at in class. That's all. So it's just travel photos. Now, when you're telling your story and you're putting your images in a collection like this, you probably want to put them in the order you want to put them in. So Murray's asking, in the slideshow module, have they fixed where you can add music to your slideshow? I didn't know it was broken. I think I may know why you're having an issue, but yeah, it's always been, well, I shouldn't say always been there. Been there for years, but I think I know what problem you might be running into. So when we get to the music part, yes, I'm going to talk about it. And yes, you can put music in your slideshow. Okay, but anyway, and I will admit that I was having an issue with it this morning. I was like, why isn't it letting me do this? And then I figured it out. So that might be what you're running into, because I had done it before, obviously. All right, anyway, so first and foremost, build a collection in the order you want them in. Now, every time I say that, like build a collection, or I say do something, and people that are new to these master classes are saying, well, how do I build a collection? How do I make a collection? How do I do that? I take for granted that you've been watching all along and you've seen me do this a million times in some of the earlier master classes, so I don't have to show it to you every single time. But for the sake of people that are just joining, that hadn't been watching all the previous episodes, I'll do this one quick just so you know what to do. And I'll also show you a tip along the way. So let's say that I want to build a collection of just towers. Okay, well, like, because I have some towers here. Eiffel Tower, I have the Turning Torso, I have the Freedom Tower. So let's say I just want to build a collection of towers. So I have the first one already selected. And if I go to my collections panel over here on the left-hand side above my head, you'll see that there's a plus sign. And when you click that plus sign, it will drop down a menu called Create Collection. Now in Lightroom, the other one, if you're using that version, is called Create an Album. Albums and collections are synonymous. They mean the same thing. So if I go create a collection, I just wanted to show you a tip that first you name the collection. So I'm just going to call this one Towers. Then it lets you decide where it's going to be. If you don't have this checked, it will just put it in the list with everything else. But I'm going to put it in my demo collection set. So collections are these things with the double panels. The collection sets look like old boxes where you would store photos, like file boxes. So those collection sets, think of those as folders in Lightroom for holding albums. Collection sets in Lightroom Classic hold collections. So I'm going to keep it in my demo collection set, and I can include the selected photos. So if I had gone through and selected all my towers first and then click Create Collection, it would put them in there for me automatically. But I only have one selected, so I can show you how to get the rest in there. All right, so, and then I can sync this with Lightroom if I have syncing turned on in Classic, which I do. Now, there is the tip I'm going to show you is that you can have any one collection set as a target collection. So in other words, the target collection, there's only one target collection. So when you make a collection, a target collection, whichever one used to be the target collection is not the target collection anymore. So one target collection at a time. What you're doing by telling it that it's the target collection is that you're saying, I'm going to be throwing stuff in here in this collection from all over the place. And I don't want to have to sit there dragging it and having it always in view and dragging images into it. I'll show you why that's important in just a second. Okay, so let's go ahead and click Create. And that will create that one collection and put it all the way down in the T's behind my head in Tower. So it's all the way down there. So remember, we were all the way up here. And so if I wanted to now put stuff in there manually, I would go to a World Traveler. I would grab, let's say, the next two towers. I would have to scroll down and go find it again. Oh, there it is. And drag them in. That's not using it as a target collection. What we can do with a target collection is I don't even have to see it. I just know it's the target collection. I can go to this one. And I'm holding down my command key or control key on Windows. I can go to that one. I can go to that one. And let's see if I have any more quote unquote towers. I can go to the Atlanta skyline. And okay, I'll count these as towers. Yeah, it's my own definition. Okay, these are towers in Hong Kong. Great. Okay, so I got all these tower photos selected. Instead of me having to go find the collection and drag them in, because I made that the target collection, all I have to do is hit the letter B as in Bravo on my keyboard. So when I hit the letter B, look what it says, Add to Target Collection. So no matter where you are, no matter what folder you're in, no matter what collection you're in, you select the photos you want to be in that collection, hit the letter B, and it goes to the target collection. So that way you don't have to sit there dragging them in manually and always having to have it in view or scroll to it or so forth and so on. So now if I were to go down to Tower, wherever it was, there it is, Towers, they're all there now because I hit the letter B. And you can also tell that it's a target collection because it'll have this little circle above each photo, which means that they've been targeted or they've been added to the target collection this way. Now, once they're here, then you can organize them in any way you want. So I can say, well, move the Milan image next to Atlanta. Move this one over here. So you can drag them in the order that you want to tell your story. Maybe I want to start in the United States with New York and San Francisco, and I'm going to go, that's Freedom Tower and Coit Tower. So maybe I want to drag them and start there before I go over to Europe, and maybe Atlanta needs to go up there too. So, oh, yep, there we go. Atlanta needs to go there too. So you can put them in the order you're going to tell your story in. So that's what I mean by build a collection, putting the images in the order you want with just the images you want. Now, for people that are maybe thinking, wow, that target collection sounds pretty cool, how do I make a target collection for a collection I already have? In other words, I did it when I created a collection. I just checked the box. How do I set another collection that's already here as the target collection? So let's say I go back to, for example, I go back to my A World Traveler, and I want that A World Traveler to be the target collection now. So you notice when I zoom in on it, and I right click, set as target collection. So any collection can be the target collection one at a time. So as soon as I make this the target collection, it will disable the other one from being the target collection. It doesn't take any photos out of it, doesn't do anything different to it. It just says that now this is the target collection. So now when I go to a World Traveler, it's the one with all the circles on it. The other one will not have the circles if I go back to it. And also you can tell which one is the target collection visually by looking at the little plus sign. The little plus sign will only be on one collection, unless you've named one with a plus, but it will be the one with the plus sign letting you know, and see as I hover over it, that it's the target collection. So that's just a quick lesson on target collections and creating collections. For those that are going to ask me later, how do you create a collection? Now you know. So I can't take the time to explain that every single time, but we just refreshed it, so you got some tips for those that already knew what collections were and how to make them. You got a couple tips along the way. Okay, now that we're past that point, let's talk about slideshow. So slideshow is a module, just like book was that we covered last week. Slideshow is a module in Lightroom Classic. And when you click on it, it will show you whichever, I should say, what are they called? Presets? Are they presets here? No, they're templates. It will show you whatever template you were on last. So I was on the crop to fill template. So that's the template it's using right now. So let's start from the top. Let's go all the way back up. Let's start from the top and let's talk about our options, because your options are really what determines what your slideshow will look like. Now I've created a I've created a custom template called Terry White Photography. So that's my template that I always use for my slideshow. So in other words, once you get one of these set up the way you want, you can just save it as a template, and that way you don't have to change these settings or reset these settings every single time. And even if you, we're going to talk about music, but even if you add music, it'll be a part of your template. So you don't have to go look for those songs every single time. So the same thing. All right, so that's why, and by the way, you can also create a saved slideshow. So what's the difference between a template and a saved slideshow? A template is one that I'm going to use over and over again for different photos. So next time I may present my fashion portraits, and I'm going to use the same template, the same settings. A saved slideshow means it's just this slideshow that I want to be able to get back to with these photos, with these settings, so forth and so on. So it's specific to this collection of photos. Whereas a template is not specific to a certain collection of photos. All right, so it's unsaved, which we're not going to worry about saving it, but let's go into the options over here on the right-hand side. So I scrolled all the way back up to the top, and basically every single one of these panels is controlling how your slideshow will look. That's it. You've already identified what the photos are. You've already put them in order. So now you're just controlling how it looks and how it plays. So, and let me just, before I forget, let me just go through all the 3 or 4 different areas, and then we'll get into the settings. So over on the right-hand side, all the settings control the way it looks. On the bottom left-hand side, which I'm going to get out of your way here, on the bottom left-hand side, you have 2 buttons that are important. That's why I don't want to forget to show them. You have Export as PDF, which I never use. So that will basically just make a PDF slideshow. It's just basically your images as a PDF. And I said I never use that one. And then you have this one, which I use all the time, Export as a video. So after you get your perfect slideshow looking the way you want, playing the way you want, with the music in it if you want it, all the transitions and everything the way you want it to look, you can actually export it out as an HD video and do whatever you want with that video. Upload it to YouTube, put it on Facebook, put it on Instagram, whatever you want to do with that video, send it to people. However you want to use the video, you can use it once you export it. Did I use a tripod for this pic? I don't think so. Oh no, this pic I did use a tripod for. Yes, I did. Because I shot this one as an HDR. So yes, I did use a tripod for this particular one, but I don't always travel. I should say this the right way. I didn't always used to travel with a tripod. Now I do. Because I've learned that hand holding can not give you the best stability when you're taking shots like this. But anyway, yeah, this one was on a tripod. All right, next up. So buttons on the bottom left. Your film strip is at the bottom, containing all the images in your collection. Underneath the preview window, you have the stop button, you have the go to the next slide button, you have use selected photos or all the film strip photos. So when you play it, you can either say, just play the ones I select. So if I just select 4 or 5 photos, just play those. Or no matter what I select, play all of them. So whether I have 4 or 5 selected or 10 selected, just play them all. Next up is the play button, which basically just lets you preview it right here in the window. That's why it's called Preview Slideshow. And then over on the right-hand side, you've got all the options, which we're going to go through in just a minute. And then at the very bottom, you've got Preview. Oh, I'm in your way again. You've got Preview and Play. So these buttons are pretty much just defined by their term. So preview, what's the difference between preview and play? Preview means just play it in the window. Like keep everything else, keep all the panels and everything on the side. Just want to see it in the window and make sure it's playing the way I want it to. Play means play it full screen. Hide everything, play the whole thing full screen. And when do you ever use that? You use that when you're going to present live in front of an audience. So, what were you holding to make PDF into JPEG? I'm not sure if Sean's asking me that question. I didn't hold anything. So, Sean, is that question for me? I just hovered over the PDF button. But if you hold down the Option key, it does say export as JPEG. So there's your answer. But yeah, I didn't know that I did that. All right. Anyway, export. For those of you who are not paying attention, if you hold down the Option key, then this export PDF says export as JPEG. So I didn't think I held down the Option key, but maybe you're not talking to me. All right. Anyway, so preview is play it in the window. Play is play full screen. When would you ever use play? When you're in front of a live audience. So I used to do, back when we were traveling and doing big conferences and shows, I'd have my laptop. I'd have Lightroom Classic open, collection I want to play. And before I did my talk, I would just play right from Lightroom Classic, because I'm going to be teaching Lightroom anyway, a full screen slideshow of whatever it was I wanted people to see. So that's if I'm going to be right in front of you, that's how I would present my work. But if I'm not going to be right in front of you, which that's what we're focused on today, then I would export it out as a video or do the thing we're going to talk about in a few minutes. All right, so now let's go over the options real quick. So zoom, let's go back to that, that one. Notice we're only seeing like the middle of the Eiffel Tower. That's because this particular template is set to zoom to fill frame. That means fill the entire frame with an image, and this is a vertical image, and slideshows are usually wide, versus show me black borders. Now, the show me black borders doesn't bother me, but it does bother a lot of people. I'm going to show you a trick to get around that, but that's the difference between zoom to fill. So in other words, if I were showing this slideshow, I would definitely have that off, because you're going to miss most of my shots that are vertical. You're going to miss all my towers. If that's on and then I turn this on, you're not going to see that you're really going to get the full impact of what that photo looks like. So I would definitely have that turned off unless all my shots are horizontal. If all my shots are horizontal or landscape, then yes, I would absolutely turn that on if they were all horizontal. If they're off, I'd leave it off. If they're vertical, I'd leave it off. Okay, stroke border. Basically, what this is kind of cool is it just does that. It puts a border that you can set whatever color you want. You can set to whatever width you want. So if you want it kind of like an artistic look to your photo with a border around it, you can have that, kind of like a gallery print. And that's an option. All of these are options. You can say turn it on, turn it off. It's totally up to you. Next is cast a shadow, which I don't think I've ever used that one. Let's see. This is like the shadow in Photoshop. And again, it's because I think because the shadow's on a black background, we're not really going to see it. But, and you might say, well, wouldn't it always be on a black background? No, I'm going to show you why it wouldn't be in a minute. But yeah, cast a shadow, just like in Photoshop, it would have a little drop shadow to the photo, giving you a little depth, but it's not going to show on a black background. So we'll get into how to fix that in a minute. Show your guides. This is, let's see. Yeah, there we go. So if you change the size of your image, it will just show you the guides. I don't know why you really need to see them in the slideshow, because you're not really laying photos out. So I don't know why you need them, but they're there if you need them. Overlays. This is if you want something to always be on the screen. So we're going to get into something in a few minutes called, I think it's called titles, but overlay is basically, I want that up there at all times. Like, I want to remind you who I am at all times. If you want that, you can have that. Let's see. You can also have text overlays. So if you want, this way, I just want to see if there's one thing I can do with this overlay. So by the way, and let me get back to overlays. Identity plate is just like that name in the upper left-hand corner, Terry White Photography. That's my identity plate. And you can go into the identity plate section to, oh, it's actually up here, into your identity plate section to set that up. So you can use a graphic, you can use text, you can use whatever you want. All right, and you can then turn it on. You can also, if you have more than one, you can choose which one you want to use. So I've set up a few. So if I want to use this calligraphy one, I could, but it's on a white background, so I probably wouldn't. This one's a ping file. Oh, actually not that one. This one is a ping file, so therefore it's transparent. You can set up the opacity, so maybe you don't want to be so obnoxious about it, but you just kind of want to ghost it in the background. I don't ever use the overlay because I just don't want the same thing on the screen at all times necessarily. But you can if you want to. You can also watermark your photos. I don't know why you would do that during a slideshow, but you can. So if you want to do it this way, you can have your watermark in, wherever you've set your watermark up to be. So if I go through each photo now, you'll see my watermark on each photo. Again, don't know why you would do that during a slideshow, because if you're given a slideshow in front of people, they know who you are. You've been introduced, you're on stage. If you're putting your video out, I would avoid these kinds of things because it takes away from what people are supposed to be looking at. They're supposed to be looking at your photography. Now, if you're so worried that someone's going to screenshot your photo and put it, therefore you need to put something up on your photo at every time, every moment, just remember that visible watermarks can easily be removed in Photoshop. So if that's your reason for doing it, you're probably not really protecting yourself very much. But if you need it, you can have it. And then text overlays, which I don't have anything set up for that. But if you have text overlays, you can have those set up as well. Yeah, I don't have anything set up for those. And then you can have a shadow behind whatever overlay you have turned on. All right, let's get back to this. So remember when we were talking about putting a drop shadow behind it? I said, well, it's really not going to show on a black background. Well, you don't have to have a black background either. So I have a color wash set up now where it's a transition from black to gray. You can go in and you can set it up to be whatever you want. So if I want it to be black, if I want it to be white, if I want it to be gray, if I want it to be a color, you can have it be whatever you want it to be. Now, a color wash is going to be a transition, but there's a way around that as well. If you don't want to transition, ooh, that's cool. You can set the angle and you can set the opacity. All right, so then your drop shadow would show because you're not just dealing with a solid black background. But what I like to do instead is if there's a theme, like in your slideshow, let's say it was travel, and maybe you use a world map or a globe or something like that, then you could, I'm just going to drag a random image in here, but you can drag an image in there, and that image would then be your background. Now, it doesn't really work with this bridge image, but you would have something that kind of would look cool behind all your photos. Not a bridge, but you would have something back there, and you can like lower the opacity of it so it kind of like is ghosted in the background, not distracting, but you could have something like a vector map or an old style map, or maybe if you're doing a wedding slideshow, maybe it's the main bride and groom shot that's behind everything, or the hall or whatever. So that way there's something behind your photos instead of just black. I prefer just a solid color because I want the focus to be directly on my image, not what's that in the background? Is that a map? Ooh, what part of the map? Where is that in the world? Like, I don't want people questioning the background, so I would prefer it to be black. But for people that don't, you can absolutely have it, have whatever you want behind the photos in the backdrop section. And this is, now, instead of using a color wash, you can just use a simple solid color. So if you don't want black, you can use white, you can use gray, you can use blue, you can use whatever color you like. Don't use pink. You can use whatever color, don't use green. Use whatever color you want that's tasteful. So let's go with that. All right, so whatever color you want in the background, if you don't want a gradient, just use background color, and that way we get a solid color behind everything. All right, next up. This is one that I do use, and that's titles. Because if you don't use titles, then that means your slideshow is going to just start on the first photo. And maybe you could also design a first photo to be the starting photo. But if you don't have those skills, you don't want to design a photo, you don't want to, you won't do anything like that, then you could just use simple titles. And what titles are, you have an intro screen and you have an ending screen. So the intro screen, if I turn this on and basically scale this up, that means it will just play my identity plate as the first slide, and then it will get into the photo. So this is not something that stays on the screen at all times. This is literally just starts with your logo or whatever, and then plays your slideshow, and then ends with your logo or whatever, and then that's it. So I could turn that on for both, and then scale it to whatever size I want. Keep in mind, you probably want the same size for each. So 66% for each of them. Okay. Now, let's get into the music category. So you notice that I have a music thing, but I can't do anything here. And this may have been what the other person, I forgot your name, who asked this question early on, was saying, did they fix the music so you can add it? And I was like, yeah, why can't I add music? Like, why is this all grayed out? Why is a plus sign? Why can't I do anything with music? I thought something was wrong too, because if I went to my template, the music was there. I was like, why isn't it working on these default templates, these other templates that come with Lightroom? And then finally, I saw it, but I really didn't believe that's what it was. Right here, there's an on-off button, and it's off. Turn it on, boom, you got music now. So that's all it was, is that the music section was turned off. Turn it on, and then you can add songs. So I've added a couple songs here since this is being broadcast on social media and YouTube and whatever. I don't want my video flagged for copyright. So I'm using a royalty-free song from YouTube. And by the way, if you go into your Creator Studio on YouTube, you can find hundreds of royalty-free songs that you can download as MP3 and use in your videos. That way they won't be flagged. You can even monetize your videos if you monetize, and they won't be flagged as, you're using music that you don't have rights to. All right, so this grass song is one that is royalty free. All right, so anyway, let's get down to this before I preview it. So slideshow mode, I usually do automatic because I'm not, now manual is, so let's talk about that. If I were doing manual, I wouldn't be using music, but I was doing manual. That means I'm clicking through the slideshow. So in other words, I'm there talking, I'm explaining the London Eye, I'm talking about it. When I'm done talking about it, I press the button, the right arrow, and it goes to the next slide. So that's manual. Automatic is I'm going to step away and let the slideshow play. Or it's a video, I'm just going to let you watch it. I'm not going to be hitting the button for each slide. So that's the difference between automatic and manual. Sync slides to music. It's a misnomer. What this really means is it will sync the length of your slideshow to the length of the music. So this first song is 5 minutes, 4 seconds. So that means that how many ever slides you have, I'm going to make them fit in 5 minutes, 4 seconds. So from the first title to the ending title and everything in between, 5 minutes, 4 seconds. So if I have 1,000 slides, they're going to play so fast you won't even be able to see them. If I have 10 slides, they're going to play so slow that it's going to be annoying. So you have to really kind of judge if I'm using a 3-minute song that I have enough photos to comfortably fit within 3 minutes if I use this feature. If I don't use the sync slides to music, then it will be, the slides will stay on the screen for whatever length you set. So I say, hey, I've got it set for 4 seconds. Every slide stays on for 4 seconds, no matter how long the song is. When I get to the end of the slideshow, it just stops. Even if the song is not finished yet, it will just gradually fade out. All right. So if I turn that on, notice it turns off the slide length because it's going to calculate based on how long the song is. And by the way, I should probably delete this other song because it's going to calculate the length of both songs. So that would be 10 minutes. They would be up there forever. So I'm going to delete that other song. And then you also have the ability to, before I skip this other one, you also have the ability to balance the audio, balance video versus music. Meaning, all of these are just pictures. So the music's going to play full volume. But if I had a video in here where someone's talking, well, I want you to be able to hear them talking and the music play in the background. So that's what that balance is. Play more of the video audio, less of the music when there's a video. And most professional video programs call that audio ducking. So duck down the music so we can hear the person's voice and then ramp the music back up when they're not talking. Pan and zoom is a nice feature where it will, like Apple refers to that as the Ken Burns effect, where it will kind of pan and zoom your photos. So you can turn that on or off. And then that's it. So now we're down to the which screen do I want this to play on? So I have it set. I have multiple monitors. I think I have it set to the right screen. No, I don't think I do. Yeah, screen number 2. I wanted to play on this one. And then let's go ahead and preview it. So it's preparing the slides, meaning for whatever quality you set, it's render, because it has to render this out. So it's rendering a slideshow even in the preview. I should have probably did it in draft. I know it starts with whichever one you were on, by the way. So let me stop it, pause it. Let's go back to the beginning. There we go. Nope. Let's stop it. There we go. Now pause. Now let's go back to the beginning. There we go, and play. So now it's got to do it again because I told it to start at the very beginning this time. There we go. There's my title slide. And now they're playing so quick because of the number of slides versus the length of the music. So just keep that in mind. And I don't even know if you can hear the music because I don't have it playing through the stream, but you should be able to hear it in the background. Here, I'll turn it up a little bit. Okay. Let's stop it. Now, if I'm happy with that, then away I go. I would now export out my video, and I'm good. I'm done. If I want to see it full screen, I can see it full screen, and then I'm going to answer a cropping question. So let me play it full screen, and then I'll answer the cropping question. And rendering full screen. Here we go. There we go. Okay, I'm going to turn the music down. Thank you for letting me know you can hear it. All right, I'm turning the music down. I'm ducking music down so I can talk. All right, so question was, well, would it be better to crop the photos so they look better on screen? Absolutely. If you want to create virtual copies and crop them to a 16:9 aspect ratio, then like images that are wide won't have the black bars on the side. But your portrait images are going to be kind of hard to do that for. So you might want to design them in Photoshop to look better, maybe side by side, so they fill the left and right side. But all your landscape images, these are all your landscape images coming out of your camera by default, are 4:3 aspect ratio. So you probably want to crop them if you want to be 16:9 aspect ratio. So then you have no black bars, they fill the screen. Now, keep in mind, there was that fill option, but that doesn't work for your portraits. It will work great for your landscapes. So let me show you what that would look like. If we were to go back, and then this will be our last thing, if we were to go back to the beginning and I turn on that feature that I wouldn't want for my portrait images, I turn that on, but let's see what it does. Let's say I didn't have any portrait images, then it would be fine. Thanks, Bruce, I appreciate it. All right, so now screen should be full because I cropped to fill. So no black bars, but also not great for portrait tall images. But for my landscape images, my wide images, this looks awesome because they're cropped to fill, or they're fill, whatever that option is. And that's the pan and zoom effect, so forth and so on. All right, I get lost in my own photography. I could look at this all day. But we don't have all day, so let's move on. So that is the slideshow feature. Now, if I was happy with it at this point, I would click the export video button to my bottom left, export video. I get an option to name it whatever I want, save it wherever I want, make it full HD, 16:9, 1080p if I want, and it will optimize it for high quality HD video compatible with, you know, whatever. And it will keep the music in it as well. So that's why I'm saying make sure you own the rights to the music or you're using royalty free, that you could post wherever you're going to post it and it not get flagged. All right, so that's how, I'm not going to render the video out, but that's how it would make a video at this point of this slideshow, exactly how I set it up and away I would go. And also, if you love these settings, then you would click the template browser before you leave, click the create new preset, and that will make a preset. We'll call this Photography Masterclass. So this will be our Masterclass slideshow setting from now on. And if you make any changes to it, like if I turn off the zoom to fill, then I would just right click on Photography Masterclass and say update with these settings. And now it's saved with everything I've done, music, settings, but not these photos. So I can switch to a different collection, click that template, and go. I don't have to set up anything else again. All right, so that's slideshows. Now, part 2. What if you want to tell your story with beyond photos and video? Like, I want to tell a story. I want to talk to you. I want to, but I don't want to be on video. I want to be on mic. I want to explain what's going on. I want to use text. So I've shown Spark Post lots of times for creating social media posts with your photos. But those are one-offs. That's like an image with some text or a couple of images, you know, collaged together with text and animations and whatever, and you can post it on social media, Instagram, all right size and everything. But if you really want to tell your story, you probably want to do it in a format that people can absorb on any device and scroll through everything. They can read it, they can see the images, they can play any videos that you have, so forth and so on. And the format that comes to mind is a web page. But we're not web developers, we're photographers. So if we head over to the browser, there's the browser. We head over to the browser and we go to spark.adobe.com. That's the URL, spark.adobe.com. That will take you to Adobe Spark. You'll sign in with your Adobe ID, and then you will get this screen. Once you sign in, and this is free to use. So, and by the way, yes, it works with, because I always get this question later. Yes, it works with Lightroom. I'm going to show you how it works with Lightroom. Synced images in the cloud. But you don't have to use Lightroom, because I always get that question when I show Portfolio or other Adobe tools, because I'm always bringing my images in from Lightroom because that's where they are. But if you don't use Lightroom or you don't have them synced, then you can absolutely just upload images. Like if you got JPEGs and you want to upload into Spark, you can upload them from the desktop, from the folders, whatever. So yes, you can use Lightroom, but no, you don't have to use Lightroom if you don't have your images in Lightroom or they're not synced to the cloud. Now, all of these red ones are for a Spark post, or they say the word post. We're going to look for presentation. This is the one we want. Web page, that's the one we want. So when we click presentation, it creates a blank web page ready to go. And you can give your title. So I'm going to click my title, and I'm just going to type in a world traveler. Hopefully I'll spell it right. All right. Then subtitle, Terry White. Now, it's saying, okay, what do you want next? You probably want a background image behind this. So the plus sign, we click the plus sign, and then it wants your photo. Click the photo. Now, this is where it gets your photos from. Remember what I said? You want to upload a photo? Upload photo. That's the very first button. You can just upload a JPEG right now and be done with it. But it also can get them from all your cloud sources, even Dropbox. So if you got your images in Dropbox, you can even grab them from there. You can grab them from your Creative Cloud folder. You can grab them from Lightroom, which is what I'm going to do, your Google Drive, your Google Photos. We're very platform agnostic when it comes to you getting your photos from wherever they are. So with that, I'm going to grab mine from Lightroom. You don't have to use Lightroom unless you want to, but mine are synced. So it brings up my Lightroom picker. It lets me see all my, my collections and albums. I'm going to click Demo. And there's a world traveler. Woo, boom, there's the same album that we synced long ago. So I can now say, what do I want to be my background? I don't know, I'm randomly going to pick one. I kind of like this one from Antelope Canyon. I'm going to pick that as my background. And it'll take a second to render it, so it might look a little blurry at first, but it renders it and it looks good. Okay, so now notice it says scroll to start writing your story. So then you will always see this selection of choices. What do you want next? It's your story. You started with your title page. Do you want a photo next? Do you want text next? Do you want a link or button that people can click on next? Do you want a video next? Do you want a photo grid, a bunch of photos next? Do you want a glide show where people are scrolling through photos next? Or do you want a split layout where maybe it's text and next to a photo? Every single time you do something, like if I add text, the very next plus sign will give me these same choices again. And when I say text, yes, I can type it right now. But most likely, if you're telling a really long story or story that you want proofread and all that, you probably typed it in something else. You maybe use Word, maybe use your text edit, maybe use something else, but Grammarly, whatever you typed it in, you can copy and paste in here. So you don't have to type it in here unless you want to. So I'm going to say, just again, because no one likes to see me type, I've enjoyed traveling the world. Okay, so now that I've said that, I can then click on it and I can format it. So I can say, make it a heading, make it a heading 1. Heading 1's bigger than a heading 2. So I just want to be a little smaller. There it is. All right, so next up. Next, I can say, do I want more text? Yes, I want more text. And I could have hit return if I just wanted to keep typing. It's been a real, it gives me a typo, real pleasure seeing the various places around the world that my job has taken me to. Blah, blah, blah. Whatever it is you want to do. Okay, so next, let's go in and hit the plus sign. I want a photo next because, you know, again, typing, you get it. It's just more text. Let's go and click photo. So it takes me right back to the same template browser, which is great. You could upload a photo, but you can say, I want to grab a photo of, do I have my, I can't believe I don't have that in there. Oh, there it is. Horseshoe Bend. Import selected photo. Now, once you import that selected photo, then you get to choose how you want that photo to be formatted. Right now, it's inline, meaning just a graphic inline. That's the size it's going to be. You know, you can add a caption under it, but that's what it's going to be. Of course, when it's on a phone, it's going to be smaller. When it's on a desktop browser, it's going to be this big, but it will automatically scale and do the right thing for mobile devices. So I could say, fill the screen. Just make it super big, no matter what size screen it is. One of my favorite of try not to abuse it is window, because then people scroll past it and it's a window looking into the photo. So you can do it multiple ways. You can say full width. Just make it the full width of the photo without necessarily making it full screen if it's like a panorama. That's it. So the next one would be move it up or down, replace photo, or delete it. So I'm going to make it inline for now. And I'm going to add a caption, just call it horseshoe bin. Horseshoe bin. Okay. So rinse and repeat. Add more photos, add more videos. So let's do a quick one that's a photo grid. So a photo grid is more than one photo. So I want this one, 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 so forth and so on. Import. Photo grid. You can move them around in order. So I can say, no, 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 this one should go before that one. You can move and you keep moving it back until it gets up to the top. It will, maybe I like this one to be on the left side since it's facing in. So you want things to face into your story, not out of your story. So that's facing this way into the story. And once you're done, then you just hit save, and that becomes your photo grid. When people see your grid, they can click on your grid photos to make them bigger and singular. But then you just scroll and you get the same thing again. You just keep going. You add more text, add more photos, add a button, add a video, tell your story. So let's say I want a button that says, follow me on Instagram. And then I would put the URL in for Instagram. https://instagram.com. You could paste it in, obviously. Terry Lee White. I think that's it. Yeah. Save. And then that makes a button. So people would actually be able to click the button and go to your Instagram. And you keep going. Get plus sign. And by the way, if you missed something, you forgot something in between, you always have plus signs in between. So if I want to add more text here, my favorite places have big monuments, whatever. So if you never have to remember, you don't have to say, oh man, I left out something, I wish it were higher up. Just go click the plus sign above it and make it higher up, or you can move things up or down. All right, so now once you're done with all this, you would click the share icon. And again, you don't have to be done, but once you're done, let's say I'll go back to this photo and I'll make it the window just so we can see how cool that looks now. Once you're done with that, you hit share and you can publish it, and it's free hosting with Adobe. So you're going to get a dedicated link for this story. And once you get that link, here, I'll go ahead and publish it. Once you get that link, you can share it wherever you want to share it because it's just a link. So I'm going to say create link, or it's a travel, and create link. It's generating a link for it. And by the way, there's no save button. There's nothing you have to do. You just keep working, and even if you close the browser, or well, unless you force quit it, it's saving in the background as you go. So you can share it out to any one of these. Just copy the link. You can even embed it on your own website. Now I'm going to give you an example of one that's near and dear to my heart that is coming up for me on Monday. So I created a story. Copy link. Why don't I see copy link? Okay, just copy. I'll paste this in the chat. Paste, there it is. Monday celebrates my 25th anniversary here at Adobe, and I created a nice 25-year look back using Spark Page. Now, for those who are not on the regular chat, I'll give you the link right here. It's just twhite.me/TW25, all lowercase. So twhite.me, screenshot that really quickly. I pasted it in the chat. But what that will give you is an extensive look at what a Spark page can do, because I kind of threw everything in there. All right, so if we go to it, it'll take a second to load. There it is, my 25 years at Adobe. And if you scroll, it just tells my story of how I started at Adobe with all the text, all the pictures, everything for the last 25 years using just about every feature in Spark Page that you can use. So feel free to check that out. You're getting a preview because I love you. But anyway, Monday is when this officially goes live. And there it is. So that is Spark Page, and I'm right on time because I'm out of time. You can create these all day long for whatever your stories you want to tell. You get a custom link for each one, and it is amazing to be able to use this technology without having to do anything extra. Just upload your photos, tell your story, add your videos, publish it, create your link, share your link as many times as you want, and away you go. All right, so thanks everyone for joining me. I'm out of time. We'll catch you on the next one. Bye everybody. Have a great day and have a great weekend. Cheers.